I didn't have time to go too far. All right, next is a delegation request by Mr. Elijah Manley.
Elijah Manley.
State your name for the record, please,
My name is
sir.
Elijah Manley. I go to Fort Lauderdale High School. I simply represent the youth. I am here today to request that the County Commission lower the voting age to 15 or 16 so that young folks like myself may participate in our democracy.
Our generation is the future. We are the ones that are going to vote on these laws. We are the ones that are going to get affected by these laws, and we are the ones that have to do the change in order to get what we want.
I'm concerned about our mold-infested schools, underpaid teachers, a failed bonds program, and a failed leadership here at the Broward County School Board.
The schools are not providing for their communities. Then what's the point of public education at all?
And we're just tired of it. The segregation of the ESC students. Like that one parent was saying, when are they going to actually listen to the students and the parents of the community? For the past summer, I've had the opportunity to help 5 homeless students in this county who are recent graduates of high school. Many were pregnant, many were sick, and absolutely no place to go. None, zero. In this county, no programs.
We want everyone around us to be surrounded with the same support that we are in order for our world to actually succeed and be a better place for everyone.
Among at least a small subset of young voters, they are interested not just in voting and in helping, they're interested in running.
Hi, I'm Elijah Manley. I am the 22-year-old running for the Florida House of Representatives here in South Florida. Yes, 22 and running for political office. You don't see that too often, but that's who I am. You know, I've always had an interest in politics and in the political system from a very young age. I never thought I'd be running for office, though. I've always thought, you know, I'd be working on political campaigns, which I did, interning in offices of, you know, Congress members or county commissioners and city commissioners and mayors. But I never actually saw myself running. It wasn't until after the election of Donald Trump that I wanted to kind of re-envision where I saw myself or my role in my community. You know, I was watching in high school one day President Obama's farewell address, and you know, he said something that stuck with me in that address that kind of prompted me to run for office. And he said, well, if you're disappointed in your elected officials, then go grab a clipboard,
get some signatures, and run for office yourself.
And you know, here I was in high school at that time, my senior year, and I thought to myself, well, you know, he has a point there. I am disappointed in what I'm seeing, and I want to do something about it, so I decided to run. And I think that was probably the best decision I ever made.
I think we're going to see increases in the number of young people voting. We saw an increase in 2018, we saw an increase in 2020, I think we'll see an increase in 2022 and in 2024, especially 2024 as a presidential year election. The general trend is as the number of people voting in general has gone larger, we've also seen the percentage of young people voting getting larger as well.
Every decision you make, everywhere you go, there's a political decision that has led to what happens in your day-to-day life. You want to go to the store and purchase a good, there's a political decision that ultimately determines what the price is. You want to go to school, you want to get an education, the cost of tuition is a political decision, whether or not you have student debt, whether or not you'll be incarcerated for marijuana. Everything that you do in your life is affected by politics. So it's so important to engage.
We are seeing young people begin to show an interest in public service. It's always been there, but we're seeing a broader base. The categories of young people who are willing to run are less white, less male sort of effect.
When people think of a politician or an elected official, what do they think of? They think of someone who is wealthy, or they may look a certain way, or they might have a certain amount of money, or they're a lawyer, or they're a doctor, or they're someone that has a lot of resources. And that's not always the case, and that shouldn't always be the case. It should be people who look different, that reflects our community, that might be young, that might not have a $1 million net worth, or that might not be a lawyer or a doctor, or that might be a student. My first trip to the Capitol, to Washington, D.C., I was invited by our late Congressman L.C. Hastings, who passed away in April. You know, I always write to his office, talk about things that mattered to me, and I was really young. So, you know, one day he called and he said, "Young man, do you want to come to D.C.?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I think that was the most life-changing experience I ever had, because I never saw myself, that was the first time I was anywhere near the halls of power anywhere, and being able to go there and be with some of the most powerful people in the country and have a member of Congress giving me the attention as a young person, as someone who wasn't even a voter, really changed my life. It allowed me to see how the system worked, how everything operated, and really feel like I had the ear of my congressman as a 15, 16-year-old at that time.
They've got to feel like this matters to them. They've got to feel like the outcome is something that will affect their lives in a way that they feel they can control by participating in the voting, or better yet, participating in the running of the election. It begins with feeling empowered. And
that really stuck with me. One thing he said to me that still sticks with me to this day is, one, there's not a lot of people like us up here, which I still hold on to, but he said, never take for granted who you are and the people that you serve. And as a young person, I see myself in him, I see my story in him, and I want other people to feel like their story is also there. So that's why I'm running.
Most of the candidates don't stay in the actual community. Some of them do, but most of them don't. So when things go on, they're not actually here to see what's going on. They just come here to just get our votes.
Deben tomar en cuenta los temas porque son las necesidades de las comunidades y en función de ese tema pues tienen que trabajar para darle una respuesta a esas personas o a esas comunidades que están postulando a ese candidato para que haga su trabajo, para ellos, por supuesto.
Living, housing communities, taxes, all that stuff, healthcare, parking, basic stuff that we kind of need that as a society we all need to get around, especially if they're building new stuff. We would like to know more information. How was that built? What funding, the taxes, even for streets, how is that being produced and where's the money actually going to? So we can write on the right person. So that can also go into the schooling districts to make sure the schools are correct and make sure everyone's equally accountable for the job.
I don't want to see the repeal of marriage equality, for example. I don't want to see transgendered people being maligned in schools. Many of us were humbled by being bullied in school, made fun of. Those things need to move forward, and we need to finish that cycle in life and move forward where we're all at the same level. My concern is the rift that we have in our country right now.
I actually hate politics. I'm just gonna be honest. I have no political affiliation because I'm one of those people that try to stay open-minded to all points of view, which I think is very important. And I actually think that if more people were like that, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I'm so Democrat, I'm so Republican, I'm so this, I'm so that, then I think the world would be a better place. And because, we could all coexist without having to worry about this divisiveness that we have in the nation right now.
This campus that we're on right now is actually Elijah's alma mater. And through a friend, I got to know Elijah because I called him and asked him for some advice. Like, hey man, I'm thinking about running for school board. How do I do this? His response to me was, man, I'm gonna keep it honest with you, you need money. Don't spend money. And so we kind of cross-endorsed each other. We became super close. We shared political ideas with one another. We help each other out. We make introductions for one another. And it's an amazing friendship, an amazing candidate, and I'm sure he's gonna do amazing things in Tallahassee when he wins in January.
Historically, young people have felt disenfranchised by the system. And so as more young people vote, the politicians are going to have to listen to the young people and begin to give them what they want in terms of policy for fear that they will vote against them in coming elections.
And that's how change starts. You don't just speak out one day and suddenly change a whole law, suddenly get to Congress. You have to get your whole community, you have to get a whole group of people, because the more people there is, the more they're gonna actually listen to you, because they're not gonna listen to one person, they're gonna listen to a whole army of people.
I talk about this a lot, my story of being homeless chronically when I was younger, when I was a teenager and younger than that, where we would constantly be, not have a place to go, or we were getting evicted, or, for sometime months at a time, we would sleep out of a car or a storage facility or couch surf, or on some occasions literally just have nowhere to go. And, the memory I have in my head that follows me the most is some of those mornings having to go up and not having a shower in my house to shower before school. And in many cases, we would have to go to the beach before the sun came out, and we have to shower at the turnstiles, the little beach showers.
And on the park, it's still a narrow. That's the last.
I went to school every day to get my education, and I kept my head forward. And I know that's not easy for anybody that's young to do. I know I'm not the only one, and I know my family wasn't the only family to go through that. And having that voice in the Hall of Power, I think, is extremely important, because I've been up to Tallahassee, to our state capitol. I've been up to Washington, D.C. And in those places is absent of the perspective that's needed to really represent everybody. And in many cases, that has consequences that could be deadly for some, that could be very harmful for some communities. For me, I see human lives, because I know there was a time when I went without, and there was a time when I didn't have, and there was a time when there really wasn't anybody there to help us and help our family in need, or there wasn't the government there to help us. So for me, I think having that life experience is a plus, a benefit to our community, because you'll have somebody in the halls of power who understand probably the majority of this community and what they're going through.
I grew up trapped in poverty in the inner city, in a neighborhood not far from here called Sistrum. We grew up on Section 8, Medicaid, food stamps, everything you can imagine, and my mom did everything she could to raise me. And there were times when we didn't have anything, and I mean that literally. There were times when we were living out in my mother's car, living in garage facilities. And that's why I feel so strongly about affordable housing. I saw that in my life, and I know that thousands of other people in our community are trapped out in the streets with no housing, with no opportunity. And I decided to do something about it, and that's why I decided to run for office.
I think social media has allowed for us to get our message out further to people all over the world, for me, for myself. And I think that's powerful because it allows us to get our message out quicker and faster, not just to donors and people across the country, but also to our supporters and voters here in the district and in our community.
I know Mr. Henry probably remembers seeing me, walk up and down the Sistrum. Sometimes he'd give me a ride home. But I'm a product of this community. I know this community well. And I'm interested in taking the talent and the knowledge that I've learned over these past few years, engaging in the state legislature to bring resources to my community, to give back to my community.
It's very important because not everyone can call or text their representative or go knock on the door or go to their office. People don't have the time to do that.
I got on the phone and I called my state representative. If you guys guess what happened, nobody picked up the phone. So I went to knock on the door of the office. Nobody was in the office all week. And I finally got them on the phone and I asked them, hey, we need to do something about youth homelessness. And you know what my state representative's response was? That's not a state legislature thing. Go to the city. So I went to the city. You know what the city said? That's not a city issue. Go to the school board. And I went to the school board. You know what the school board said? Go to Tallahassee. That's not our issue. All while I was homeless in the street, nobody would take responsibility.
But having that ability to make your voice heard through social media, I think is very key. That's a next generation tool in politics. I think Twitter has become the town hall of the country. In many ways that can be good and bad. I think the pros outweigh the cons in this situation because it allows people who normally would have no voice in politics to voice their concerns and speak to their elected officials.
Governor DeSantis, we're losing 100 people a day due to gun violence.
I think that you're going to have
Governor, we need you to take action on gun violence.
Nobody wants to hear from you.
We need to take action. Floridians are dying. Floridians are dying.
For people who don't have the time to go to a political rally, who don't have the time to keep up with the news or keep up with what's going on in politics, being able to go on Twitter or Instagram and get that news, that access to people who are trying to represent them is very important.
So let me set an important goal for every single person every day and for this campaign. My goal before Election Day is to knock on every single voter's door in this district. It's to call every single voter in this district, to text every single voter in this district. And I want 50% of our young people out at the polls. Because this is our future we're talking about. I'll tell you when I do get to Tallahassee, I'm not gonna let any of you down.
I just want to first thank all of you for being here. I already did the thing that candidates do because we're Democrats and our values show that we support and respect democracy. I called Mr. Campbell. I congratulated him on the victory. He worked hard. You know, he put his best foot forward, and he fought, and he won fair and square. And as Democrats, we believe in democracy. You know, we all were looking forward to August 2022. You know, 14 months out, and then our beloved Congressman Elsie Hastings passed away so suddenly and tragically, and then all the dominoes fell. And I had the opportunity to fight to make sure that this district had a representative, whether or not it was me or not. This was never about me. You know, it was so much sacrifice that I put to run into this race, and you know, I thank my family, a lot of them who are on their way here, who are at home, who are across the country, looking at their phones right now, trying to figure out who the winner is. I thank my family, especially my family at home here, my mom, my sister, my brothers, for really embarking on this journey with me, because for those of you that don't know, running for office takes a toll on you and your family as well. I mean, there were a lot of nights I was away from home and away from my family. Like last night, stuck in the office, working hard to win this election. And so I say to all of you, as I said at the beginning of this race, that we're in this to build together. And what that means to me is that it doesn't matter where we come from, what we look like, who we love, anywhere. We have to live in this community together. We have to remain united. And I have to say to you, to close out, 6% turnout is not what this community is about. Participating in democracy is one of our biggest and most important duties as Americans. And it's very important that we all of us, take responsibility as citizens of this country and participate and cast our ballot and vote. And so again, I thank all of you for being here, for supporting me in this race. This is not the end. We got a lot more to do. I may have ran in a special election, I may have lost in a special election, but I know there's another day tomorrow, another day to fight. I know there's another election, and I know that we are on that ballot. So thank you all so much for coming with me. And I can't wait to get to work for all of you. Thank you.
Well, I think this was the first race where I really felt like it was going to happen. I mean, the other two races, you know, I loved them. I learned a lot in the process, but I was able to really use what I learned in the past and really garner the support of so many people and build the broadest coalition I ever built. I think it has allowed me to grow a little more as a human being. It allowed me to become more in touch with who I am as a person, with what ticks me, what gets me upset, but also, you know, how I feel about stuff, you know, grieving, because the whole process, you know, after you lose is grief. I can tell you, I mean, anybody that's run for office that has lost will tell you, you know, you don't get over that loss for a while. I think for me, in this particular race, in the special election, I found more of my voice that I didn't think I had. And, you know, I've always been a good public speaker, but what's been tough is, you know, really speaking what I really feel in my heart sometimes. You know, sometimes it's hard to do that because a lot of this stuff is so deep. There's a lot of, you know, pain and, you know, struggle that goes on in our community, and trying to channel that through experience and let everyone know that is kind of difficult. But I found my voice. I found this is what I want to do and why I want to do this. And it really reinforced the why. If you don't have that why when you're running for office, why are you doing this? What is the reason for your candidacy, for speaking up for our community, then not the best candidate. I think the one that most people got, and that was the most effective, was the attacks on my sexual orientation. Obviously, I identify as gay. I was the only gay candidate in the race. They said all types of nasty things, like called me transgender, and I wanted to turn their kids transgenders, just crazy stuff. There were text messages sent, you know, making fun of me and my sexual orientation, and one other candidate in the race, you know, complained that I only talked about gay issues and how gay issues and black issues didn't intersect, which was a weird attack. But there were a lot of attacks like that in the campaign. There were whisper campaigns in the church about my sexual orientation in the black church, where, you know, I wasn't welcome in a lot of churches because of that. And so a lot of these attacks had a clear effect in the race. I can't speak to how large that effect was, but I know a lot of people got those messages, they got those emails, they got those texts, and all of that in the end had an effect in the race.
The issues that affect us as individuals affect our neighbors, the small business owners, affect the families that live next door. I think it's important for us to recognize that no man is an island, which is a gendered expression, but it definitely holds true. We're all really interconnected, and it's important that for any of us individually to thrive, we have to work to make sure all of us can thrive.
What has caused so much concern about this bill is the fact that it has been called the Don't Say Gay bill.
That got national coverage, essentially a bill trying to erase LGBT history and LGBT discussions from the education system, meaning students in school won't be able to have conversations about the contributions of LGBT people in history, like Bayard Rustin, like a lot of the other people we've learned about in history class.
I don't think y'all understand how much courage it takes for these children to show up every day.
Well, the fact that the word gay is not in the bill is irrelevant. The effect of the bill is the same. The bill overtly censors classroom instruction of sexual orientation, meaning the teacher can't say it. They can't say gay as part of instruction. And what is included in classroom instruction, we don't know.
Does it say that in the bill? Does it say that in the bill? I'm asking you to tell me what's in the bill, because you are pushing false narratives. It's why people don't trust people like you, because you peddle false narratives.
And so this bill was very harmful, and I think that was really the highlight of this session. But there were also other bills like the 15-week abortion ban, which passed in Florida.
If you need an abortion under this bill and you have the means to travel out of this state, you will still be able to have an abortion. The rest of us won't be so lucky.
We are here today to protect life.
The governor's planning on signing that, and we've seen a bill to ban, quote-unquote, critical race theory from schools, which does not get taught to kids. We really saw the Democratic caucus really organized in a way I have not seen in previous sessions. I know they're always fighting a fight, battling something, but this session, I think, you know, they were more united than they ever were before.
There are so many children out there right now that have two daddies or two mamas. That's their house. That's their home. That's their love. That's what they have. And they should not be shunned or made to feel insignificant or unimportant or different than the rest of the kids.
I think I just need to take what I already know and believe and take that to more people and talk to more people. You know, you really get the opportunity to meet so many people. You learn about people from different backgrounds who moved here to this state or people who grew up here. I'm bad at remembering all the names, but I can remember a face very well. But I really learned a lot about the different cultures in District 94, different types of foods I never knew existed, from when I knocked on doors and got invited into homes to eat. I learned a lot. I also learned, what it means to build a broad coalition and listen to others. I have my views that I feel very strong and deep about, but I know there are a lot of other people in the political system who have different views, who have different hopes for the district, who may not feel strongly about me or my candidacy, but I learned that it's all about listening to other people, trying to, really build consensus in the community around issues that were super important to all of us, like housing and healthcare and education, stuff that I think doesn't get a lot of attention in Tallahassee. But I learned that the more you listen, the more you learn.
In order for him to succeed, he should continue to do what he's been doing, and also more people hopefully will get in the fight and knock doors and make phone calls and send texts, engage with people, have conversations about the issues, because that's, one, it's important, to elect somebody who's going to fight for the values that you espouse. In my case, progressive values, progressive democratic values. But also, it's important to just be present in your community so you can learn what issues are affecting them.
I feel like I do this all the time. I feel like this is all I do is just run for office. But outside of that, I am organizing straight up. But I think, uplifting other people is part of what I want to do, empower people, and that's part of what I'm always doing outside of electoral politics.
Give it up for Alibi for welcoming us here. Don't forget to tip the bartender back there, Matt. We're progressive, but also I want you guys to take out those checkbooks too, because as we know, campaigns cost a lot of money. And every single one of us that have run for office or running for office knows that. I know that. I just lost by just over 1,000 votes last month. So I know how close these races get, and I know how expensive they are. Jen knows the same thing. She ran for Congress. Angel knows the same thing.
Part of what we want to do is raise more money, because in politics, money is what changes the game. So the more money you have, the more competitive you are in a race. And so I will be trying my hardest to raise more money.
The only way we can ever beat corporate money in politics, dirty money in politics, the only way we can beat the oil industry, big pharma, all of those that are opposing Medicare for all of those people that are fighting against everything we believe in, is if we organize like hell.
I won the eastern part of the district and the cities there, but I struggled on the western part of the district. So what I want to do is build some inroads.
And I'm from the hood, and I know just how important it is to have somebody in office who's speaking about the hood. Because the truth is, in the Democratic Party, we have a problem. We have a problem with black communities, poor communities being denied, being ignored. And if we don't change that, we don't start electing people to office who's gonna fight for our community, things will never get done. We will continue to have the Joe Manchin's and the Kirsten Sinemas running the Democratic Party and running the process in Washington, D.C.
Volunteering for a political campaign is some of the most, or has been some of the most inspiring and educational work that I've done in my life. And I recommend it to everybody. Get involved, whether it's for a member of Congress, for a presidential election, or for a district attorney race, or for a city council race. Every election matters, and engaging in the political process is more important for young people because we have the most to lose.
The message is this, is that we must unite based on what we have in common. We must fight against the forces that are trying to keep us separated. That is the message. And it doesn't matter how we identify the economic issues that bind us together. The fact that billionaire class have made money hand over fist and stepping over people's bodies. That greed and this kind of a capitalism that is killing not only this country, but killing the world, killing the environment, killing the very ecosystem, that there is something wrong. And so we got to pull some people in who ordinarily might not see the world like we see it. I'm going to give you an example. The House of Labor showed us how it was done. Don't think at John Deere, and I'm just using John Deere as the example, that they weren't Bernie-crats working at John Deere, that they weren't Bidenites working at John Deere, that there weren't Trumpites and Clintonites and Green Party and Libertarian and people who don't even participate in the political process. But you know what they said? The man or the woman has their foot on our neck, and we are going to unite for better wages, better work conditions, and better benefits, and we don't care how we identify politically. We all catching hell.
Get me a nice good boomerang.
We need to get a campaign assistant.
His commitment to public service is certainly something to admire, especially considering that Gen Z needs a lot more voices in leadership. And right now, especially in light of our very toxic political climate, we do not have enough of them. And especially here in South Florida, we need a hell of a lot more. And he certainly presents himself extremely well. And I look forward to continuing to support his efforts as he goes forward.
I would like to introduce your candidate for State House Representative for District 99, Elijah Manley. Let's clap it up, clap it up, clap it up.
Thank you, Stephen. I just want to first thank all of you for coming out here. Welcome to the wonderful city of What Matters, which was my stronghold in this special election. I got 63% of the vote in this city. Thank you to the city of What Matters for coming out strong. But really, thank you to all of you, because so many of you here have been with me from the very beginning of this race. I'm looking at a lot of familiar faces here. From my first time ever running for office, when I ran for Broward County School Board, I looked a lot different. I had a baby face, I had no hair on my face.
You still have a baby face.
Yeah. A lot of imperfections. And since then, I've learned a lot about the political process, about the political system. I've learned what I like about it and a lot about what I don't like about the political system. Whether that's here in Broward County or in Tallahassee, Florida, currently they are showing out. They're showing their behinds in Tallahassee. They care more about cultural war issues, they care more about banning books, they care more about attacking LGBT families, trans youth. They care more about lining the pockets of their donors. And so when I think about who I want in Tallahassee in November 2022, in March 2023 for that legislative session, what I think about is someone who's going to say loud and clear to the largest corporations in the state, you're not going to keep avoiding paying your taxes and finding loopholes. You're not going to keep buying our elected officials and refusing to address the issues that we need, whether that be Disney, because Disney isn't our friend, FPL or AT&T, or Big Sugar, who likes to spend money in our race. I got a message for them, and that message is, we're coming for you. And I have a message for the governor too. I know he's paying attention to Broward County politics. We're coming for you too in November. We care about the fact right now that we have a housing crisis, that there are people right now that can't afford to pay the rent, or landlords crazily increasing your rent. We care right now that we have a healthcare crisis, that we don't have Medicare for all in the richest country on the face of the earth. And that's a travesty, that's a shame. And so when I say that I'm running to be your state representative, I don't care about the title. The title doesn't mean anything to me. Keep the title, keep the money. I care about the people who I see who are living at the bottom, who don't have a house, who don't have a place to stay, who don't have anybody talking or caring about their issues. And that's why I'm running.
Even if Elijah loses this race, he still wins because representation really matters. Seeing someone like yourself, someone who's gay, someone who's Jewish, it really is important to look and see, oh, I could do that. Or a child in the school seeing for the first time someone who maybe has the same hair as them, or the same skin color, or the same religion, going for office is so important because that makes changes. Someone standing up saying enough is enough, I'm going to be the first to take this step. It builds a path and a bridge for others who may not look like you and me make change in this world.
But the difference is going to be you, each and every one of you. So get registered, update your registration, and thank you all for getting out here.
Yes, there we go. We got some energy in the room now. Thank you for running. That's what makes America great. We may not be the greatest nation in the world, but one thing that does make us great is our democracy. Every one of you has a vote, has a voice, and your representation in that impacts all of us. And if you feel like you're not involved in this process, you're absolutely wrong. We've seen it in our congressional race. 5 votes, people, 5. 5 votes changed the destiny of somebody who would have represented the majority of Broward County all the way up to West Palm. And I look across this room, I see white, I see black, I see Jewish, I see Christian, I see gay, I see straight. At the end of the day, that doesn't matter. We want the humanity that we look for in the world to represent the country that we say is the greatest of all time. And we look at our democracy in a way where we not only preserve it, but we will protect it with our voice, our votes, and our engagement. The biggest thing lacking every time we come to an election, and I'm telling you, as a consultant, as a campaign manager, as a former candidate, we don't engage our people right next door. So, you have homework. You talk to your neighbor. I don't care if you go a house down, the house right next to it, make sure you talk to somebody because we're all involved in this. And if you believe in something, I guarantee you the person next door does as well.
You know, just a few years ago, I was sitting there thinking I'd be a statistic or I'd be, you know, really nobody or wouldn't get far. And I've had people tell me, you know, you wouldn't graduate high school, you wouldn't go far, you wouldn't go to college, you have all of these odds against you. And for a while, I carried that with me, believing that. And, you know, I'm inspired especially by those young people who are being told by the world that, you know, they're not good enough, that they're not smart enough, that they won't go far, that they won't be anything. And that's inspiring to me to know that those young people are still going out there, young or old, are still getting up every day, going out there and doing their part in the world and still fighting and still breathing and still living. I think that's a testament to how far the country is going. I got far because I kept going and I kept standing up against the odds. And there will be times, whether that's in, you know, school or in your professional life, that you will be faced with a number of odds. You might fail, you might not win. I haven't won all of my battles, or I have not won all of my campaigns either. But you will be going up against some very big odds and you will get knocked down. But it's about getting back up and keep going and keep fighting, because at the end of the day, you never know when that next break will be. You know, I remember, you know, sitting there as a little boy ready to just quit or drop out of school, and the next day I went to school and I got an A on that exam that I thought I was going to get an F on because I just tried and I kept going. So you never know when that break is going to happen, when that's going to be, so I say keep fighting.